Hello and welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Addeo, a social media marketing expert specific to the wedding industry. On this show, I discuss tips to help you DIY your social media, as well as getting the confidence and income to outsource it. Thank you for allowing this episode to come through on your Bluetooth, your car radio, wherever it may be you're listening from today. Now, let's take your wedding business to the next level. Hello, everybody. Nina here, and I am so glad to have you back on the podcast. Or if this is your first time, man, you know how to pick them. I have a feeling this is going to be one of those interviews and episodes where you listen to it and you just say, that was destiny. That was destiny that I put this on now. That was destiny that this automatically downloaded to my phone. However it finds you, I think you're going to find it to be super aligning that it did. Now, why am I so excited? I'm excited because we're going to be talking about money. We're going to be talking about joy. We're going to be talking about transformation with a ton of resources packed into this episode. And it is with Marla Diann, owner of Marla Diann Mentoring International. She is a success coach, business strategist, podcast host, speaker. She works with high achieving creative entrepreneurs who are ready to upgrade to the next level of life in business. And this is financially, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And how do I know this? Because I am working with Marla. So I feel that I am someone who can speak on the transformations that are to come. Now, you won't be surprised when you hear why Marla and I get along so well. She is the mom of her 32-year-old son who has his own successful business. She lives in California, but she is obsessed with her adorable dog, Ruby, and I'm obsessed with Ruby too. She loves all things Italian, Disney, creative, romance, spiritual. I mean, we are just very aligned with our interests, and so often on our chats we just end up talking about whatever may come up. But as the New York traffic is coming in, it's serving as my reminder that you guys just want to get to the resource and you just want to get to the episode. Now, linked in the show notes are going to be the several resources Marla gives to us and mentions throughout this episode. So I wanted to make sure that I call that out. I'm also going to link her podcast called Follow Your Joy so that you can check that out as well as her current offer. It's time to transform your relationship with money. She has a training and workbook where you can get to work with Marla and get a deeper dive into all the things we talk about on today's episode. But I really need to stop my chattering and let you hear the brilliance that is Marla Diann. All right, guys, I have Marla Diann with us, who is extra special because Marla, you are my coach.
I'm so glad to be here. We get to have another one of our chat sessions.
Yes, our chat sessions are becoming so famous for us that this podcast recording almost didn't happen because I just kept letting her coach me. I turned it into my own coaching.
And we also, you gotta remember, we relate well. And so we actually do just regular everyday talking, right? Even before we get onto a session for you, it's just we enjoy each other's company. We enjoy talking about everything and anything. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, Marla, it's almost getting, I think it's going to be in August. I think it's August that it will be a year.
Um,
Since the Wedding Summit series, it was the Money and Growth edition where I met Marla. She was one of the speakers.
That's right. It was August. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
It was a year ago.
Mhm.
Yes. And you signed up for my, I think it was a discovery call offer. And here we are a year later and we're still at it.
And that's why I wanted you to speak on money mindset, especially for wedding professionals today, because that was what you spoke about where I knew I would connect with you.
Mm.
So before we get into that, could you tell us your coaching origin story? How did you
Oh my,
discover your calling to be a coach?
yeah. You know, was not even in my sweet little brain 15, well, 16 years ago. So yeah, is all right. So I hit the 20-year mark, and I hit the 20-year mark in entertainment PR. Right. I have a degree in PR journalism. I'm a writer as an artist. I spent 20 years publicizing celebrities and visual and performing artists. I'm out here in the LA area. And I loved my career. It was such a perfect fit for me. A ton of fun. I mean, what's not to love about being at red carpet events and photo shoots and putting your celebrities in the media? This was all before, by the way, and this is all part of my story. This was all prior to social media. This was traditional PR, TV, radio, newspapers, magazines, and getting clients in the media. All right, so yeah, around year 20 is not only, and there were two things going on. Not only did I receive kind of what I call divine discontent. The intuitive message was, okay, you had a good run, you're done. It's time to up level. It's time to do something more meaningful. And at the same time, remember 2006, is that all of this rumble around the social, channels and social media, and all these different types of online things, and everything was evolving. Right, there was innovation going on out in the world, and how we showed up. And so right at the same time as that was evolving, I was being nudged to evolve and go do something more meaningful and bigger. And so I was connected with a spiritual business coach at the time, just getting her emails. And she happened to be, in fact, this was a year into my discovery mode, right? I was clear, I was done. Now what? Right? How in the world do I take all of this, the personal branding, the writing, the communication, the spirituality, the creativity, all of those great things, how do I combine that into my next business? Because I was working in my own PR company the last 13 years of my 20 years. I had my own agency, and I worked out of my home while I raised my now 32-year-old son. So and she had a guest. She emailed out. She had this millionaire mindset, coach, David Nagel, and some of you may know him today. He's still very much out there. And I thought, okay, this is cool. And he was talking about spirituality and metaphysics, which I was big into at that point. I was on my spiritual path, and being in business, and kind of combining all that together. His story was very inspiring to me. And it was that defining day, a year into my discovery, that I went, oh, okay, so I can do this. Hold on a minute. So I can actually combine, but what am I doing? And so that particular connection led to a New York spiritual woman's business coach, different from the one I had. And she was the one that assisted me in coming up with, hey, your next segue, or I should say your segue, your lowest hanging fruit is, you know how to do personal branding. You've been doing it for 20 years. Turn that into online and teach entrepreneurs, creatives, how to turn themselves into a brand and monetize it online. I went, oh, well, I can do that, but how do I coach that? And so there began the learning. Is I was typically the publicist behind the scenes. I wasn't accustomed to being in the spotlight. I wasn't accustomed to being in front of people, except for some speaking I was doing. So it wasn't comfortable for me at all. I was learning a brand new thing. I had no clue how to take 20 years of in my brain and turn it into content and teach it. And thank goodness for my coach, and all my coaches since then, which I never go without a coach, helped me launch Embrace Your Spotlight. And that was my very first iteration of my coaching, which was all about personal branding. 2008, not a lot of people, I was an early adopter. Not a lot of people knew how to monetize Facebook and blogs and email marketing. And I was learning that from my coach.
Fantastic. Wow. Wow. What I love about it, actually, Marla, is I think it's very parallel to what a lot of creatives and people in the wedding industry may go through, which is that moment of kind of like a divine discontent, like you were saying, of realizing, all right, I need to go all in on my creativity, or I need to, give this wedding planning a shot, where they have the moment where they get a glimpse of what they could be doing
Yeah.
and realize that. So how did working with creatives and wedding professionals come into your coaching?
Yeah, no, this is a fun, kind of a fun story. So it was, let's see, it was 2014. I was now was it 6 years into my coaching. And I was invited to speak to, it was Event Professionals Association, EPA, was here in LA. They're now no longer in existence. But I was invited to be a speaker to this group, and most of them were wedding and event professionals. And that evening, and was doing personal branding, discussing and presentation. Anyway, there were several of them in the wedding industry that kind of signed up. I think I was offering a discovery call. And Richard Martinez, if you end up listening to this, hello. He was a DJ. He had a DJ production company for the wedding industry. He signed up from that to my then group program. And he loved it so much as he was going through it. This is like a month later, as we started, he told all his friends. Within 4 months, I had planners, photographers, floral designers, DJs as clients. And that began my path with those creatives because of that one evening speaking.
Wow. I love that. It really was how this one person kind of sparked it and brought it out in you. And what did you find connection wise, as or what all these, because they're all different types of creatives. A florist is different from a DJ and whatnot, but what did they all have in common?
I have creativity in my DNA, right? So creatives and my clients as creatives, they're all different types. It's not just the wedding industry, but a good portion of my clients are in the wedding and event industry for sure. And so to me, the connection to any creative is their creativity, right? It's just who they are. I understand their heart. I understand their soul. I understand where their creativity comes from. So whether they're designing flowers, and I've had some amazing floral designers as clients, whether they're photographing, right, weddings or even personal branding. I love photography myself, I'm an amateur photographer. A planner, writer, it doesn't, like yourself who's in social media, it doesn't matter. They're creative. And so to me, also the other level that I related with is it reminded me the people in the wedding and event industry reminded me of the entertainment industry. They were very much very similar in how they connect with each other, how they support each other, and how they operate in their businesses. It's all, it felt very familiar to me, like I was in the entertainment industry.
Great. And now, in addition to branding, which is one of your big genius zones, how did money, because the
Yeah.
money mindset work we've done, and I heard you speak about it, as I mentioned, that was how I was introduced to you. How did that become one of your pillars and one of your big focal points?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Whew. Thank God that happened. So 2 years into my coaching. So I started in 2008. 2010, I was with a phenomenal coach, and I was with, her name's Kendall Summerhawk. Hi, Kendall. And I was with her for about 6 years from that point on. But 2010, she was launching a new certification called the Money Breakthrough Method. And it was all about which you've experienced as my client, your relationship with money, your habits, your behaviors, your mindset, and how to basically, make over your money story, create a whole new money relationship and how you operate and such, and think about money. And so she was offering this. I was probably one of the first that day to sign up. It was so clear to me, and I was so excited because I needed, first and foremost, I needed to change my money story. I didn't own my worth. I was still in that early stages, especially in the coaching industry. I really needed to look back at my past, my imprints from my parents, all of that. And I knew if I was to help myself clear that up, I could definitely help my clients, which was the whole purpose. So it was game changer, not only for me and my business, but from that point on with how I served my clients. And to this day, I don't know where I'd be if I didn't have that to offer in my coaching, because it has been completely magical as far as I'm concerned. Is that it literally being a money, if you will, mindset coach, money, whatever relationship, it's really money relationship coach that specializes in that. I've seen miracle after miracle happen to clients, and I'm so grateful and literally blessed that I'm in the position to do that, because I'm not only helping my creatives like yourself change their relationship with money, create higher revenues, more dignity, more confidence in money conversations, seeing that bottom line, but they're also, this is the bigger picture, is that it's about your money legacy. And your money legacy is the habits, the behaviors, and mindset that you're going to pass down to your family, because it's all based on imprints that we've received from our caregivers, no fault of anyone's, right? It's literally a generational thing, and the buck stops here with me, is we're going to create a whole new money legacy for you and your family.
Do you have an example? Because you mentioned seeing some money miracles. I mean, I know I'm putting you on the spot. Do you have an example of a money miracle you've witnessed or seen someone experience?
No, absolutely. Oh my God, there's plenty over the years. So here's one example. I share this often. This is a creative that's she's out in Dallas area. She had part of her imprints, and what we came up with in her, it was her kickoff session of a 3-month program. And what we found in our exploration of what was going on for her is that she had resistance and resentment around her father around money. And we, worked through that in that in that very first session. She also had this kind of underlying theme about struggle with money. The kind of the roller coaster up and down revenues and so forth. So it was all combined: resistance, mainly the resentment, and then the struggle mentality, right? And she ran a marketing agency for creatives. So we get through that the next day, and I did mention to her, and I've said this to you, I've said this to all my clients, when they first sign up, I'll say, I'm going to give you a good warning. You're going to start seeing things happen for you that typically they're going to come out of left field. Something's going to happen that you didn't expect. I said, because you just now invested in yourself and invested in what you say, what's important to you. And as a result of that, with universal law, which, that's a big platform that I coach from, is universal energy, using that to partner with, right? That which you think and feel, is that the next day, she texts me, she says, you're not going to believe what just happened. I go, yeah, I will. What? And she says, well, two avenues or two streams of income totaling $18,000, 9 apiece, came in through my business today. And she says one was from, I think she was looking for a loan, and it was stalled for over a month, and she was trying to get whatever it was that particular loan to come through. And then she also had a client that was kind of hemming and hawing and kind of hesitating to sign up with her, and they signed up. She literally two $9,000 that were the money energy was stuck. And the next day, after we cleared up her stuff around her money relationship, she literally had $18,000 in her bank account.
Wow. I love
That's
it.
that's a great example. And there's a lot
Yeah.
of ones that are smaller, right? It's, oh my God, I just got such and such client that I've been really hoping for a while. Or, I just raised my credit score. Or, I mean, there's so many things around money, right? So that's one of many examples.
Now, you mentioned for her, she had a block with money, and everyone has their own story. And I'm wondering, because wedding professionals are so artistic and creative, does the stereotype of starving artists ever come up as a struggle point when working with wedding pros?
Rarely. You guys you're all confident, for the most part. You're all confident. And here's why I say rarely is that, one, I don't advocate that type of mindset, especially coming from the entertainment industry. Oh my gosh, is that I don't advocate it, nor do I work with people at that level of mindset. So as you learned in the coaching, the qualifying, sales system that I coached you, the appropriate way to market to your avatar, and that is, look, I know there definitely are people out there with the starving artist. Of course, they have that. Typically, they're not in my world, right? Because I usually work with creatives that either have been in business for a couple of years and they're ready for that next level, and or they're already on the metaphysical spiritual path and they want to upgrade that so that they can manifest better, quicker. But they have a self-development history. So when they have that, they're typically not going to have a starving artist mindset.
Okay, so you mentioned you're with people at that next level. So I think maybe this is more of a next level problem. You let me know, because I hear people bring this up a lot, and one of their
Okay.
struggling points is charging fairly for their services. Maybe they're getting caught up in what other people charge or what they think they should be doing or feedback. How can somebody overcome resistance towards charging fairly for their service?
Yeah, well, that's a 2-hour training to begin with.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be giving y'all some resources here in just a moment to kind of get started on that. But I mean, the bottom line is you need to heal your money story first and foremost. And what I often say online and in my webinars and obviously in coaching is that the first place to start to increase your revenues, to own your worth, right? Don't allow yourself to buckle under pressure and all of that, is that you do need to upgrade your wealth consciousness, how you think and feel about money and about your worth and your value. Then it's the marketing, right? The marketing comes second, not first, right? So don't look at the marketing as a way to, oh, that's the end all be all in order for me to, attract the right avatar. No, you need to be at the level. Typically, you need to be at the level in your worth, in your value to attract the same. Make sense?
Yeah, I'm having like a
Light bulb
moment.
moment.
Yeah. Because I keep thinking, it's almost like the action first. I have to post the things,
Oh,
get the things, but it's the inner first.
the success is an inside job first. And if you aren't, and this is core, to the coaching, is I want you really owning your worth and get rid of the old money stories that's telling you the opposite, right? So for example, as far as a resource, everybody, and I know you'll have this in the show notes, is one of my free downloads is my, free guide. It's 5 practical steps on the path to higher earning power. right? And there's a link that, I've given you.
Mhm.
And here is 2 tips. And this is what's really gonna kind of drive some of this home for some of you. And that is your tip number 1 is your only responsibility in the sales process is 1, owning your worth and offering a service or a product that meets the needs of your prospective client so they can make an informed decision. That's it, right? Their money story, this is now further into this, which I coach you around that, is their money story has no jurisdiction over your value and your worth. None. So if anybody, listeners, if anybody tries to talk you into a lower rate, a significantly lower rate, that's their money stuff, not yours, right? And you stick to your, rate. You stand for your, I call it stand for your worth and your dignity. It's a tagline I have. So that's tip number 1. Number 2 is it's also not your role to predetermine what your potential client can or cannot afford or, right, allow themselves to invest in. Your worth is your worth, and your talent and value is not determined by someone's wealth consciousness or the need of it to be upgraded. So if they are the right client who sees the value, right, for themselves and is smart to invest in themselves through you, they're going to make that decision. But don't ever predetermine. That's not your role, and it's kind of none of your business to predetermine what someone can or can't afford. You stand up for your worth and your value, and you'd be surprised at how many people, right, that are on the receiving end of that. They're going to get your leadership, they're going to get that you're confident, and they're going to see that they need to invest in that.
Guys, if you next time you go on a call, if you have been struggling with this, listen to those 2 tips back to back right before you get on the call. It's really going to energize you. And right before getting on this, I just read your blog post, which I'm going to put in the show notes,
Okay.
about 4 daily money habits to change everything in your finances. I read it before our call as we were getting ready. It was fantastic. So I'm going to link that down below. But I really think that is something worth listening to more than once, and especially before you get on the sales call if it's been a struggle point, because I think everyone, at least when you're starting out, that can happen,
Oh my gosh, 100%. And we will, because our brain does that, and you need to be careful about allowing your brain to be in charge. We love our brains, but you know what? It's a recording machine. It'll always bring to the negative. And that is, yes, for beginners, for sure. People that are new in business, it's really helpful. But you know what? Even us seasoned people, there are times I have to remind myself that, like, come on, you coach this,
Yeah, yeah.
come on. So it's not exclusive, to your point, it's not exclusive, right, to newbies.
Mhm.
It certainly can happen, as you and I have experienced with your own business, and I help you go, yeah, let's go back, let's recommit. And that's what I tell you to do, right? Recommit to what you know is the truth.
Great. And you also mentioned your download on 5 practical steps to higher earning power. And a lot of your systems and your handouts have been really impactful for me within our coaching, because I was lacking systems and I was very unorganized, just, I mean, with my systems, with my money, with everything. So
Yeah.
somebody else who is experiencing that, what advice do you have for them to bring some structure, systems, organization to both their money and their workflow?
Yeah. Before I answer that, I'd love for you to tell me and us what one thing are you doing that you learned in the coaching to answer this question?
So before the coaching,
Yeah,
I was not tracking my money at all,
right.
and that was a big deal. And what you say, of course, is what you focus on expands. So to me, that just meant I'm going to do my daily affirmations. I'm going to think, prosperous thoughts. But this is very literal. This is money I actually have coming in, and I was ignoring it. I wouldn't deposit checks right away, and it certainly wouldn't be because I'm rolling in dough. I just like wouldn't want. That's how averse I was to seeing my numbers, and I wasn't even depositing checks.
I remember that. I'm like,
Yeah.
you have checks sitting there waiting to be deposited for how long? Yeah, no, that's really a good point. Very much so. And that is exactly the advice that I give here is to put some structure. And by the way, yes, that's what we do when I'm coaching you, is it's not just the mindset, which is number one, right? And to change your money story, but you now got to put it in the tangible. What are some of these systems?
Mhm.
Right. And one of them, yes, it's tracking your numbers. And you're going to see that in the blog post that you just,
Mhm.
right, the money
Yep.
habits. By the way, that's one of the money habits you're going to read, one of the 4 money habits that will change your finances literally. So yes, I also recommend that you schedule a money day if you're not already doing that. To schedule a money day weekly, right? A recurring day where you're going to focus on looking, evaluating, forecasting your numbers. Get in relationship with your numbers and know what's in all of your accounts. And with the money speedometer that we worked on, is that this tracking system, it's one of many. It's more about wealth consciousness, more about your numbers, your money, bold goal, and so forth. So you want to stay focused on that bold monthly goal of money's coming in. This is not a bookkeeping system. It's you literally being in relationship with numbers, your sales, challenging yourself, right? Challenging yourself to meet that bold money goal for the month and see where you're at in day 12, see where you're at in day 20. Where do you need to, what do you need to do wealth conscious wise and then tangible wise to keep moving towards that goal, right? So yes, is be disciplined with that on your calendar. And the other piece is too, I coach being in your zone of genius. And when you know what those talents are, those top 5 to 7 talents in your zone of genius, it then becomes your leverage strategy and what you do most of the time, and everything else you delegate. Because when you focus mostly on your zone of genius talents, which is highest creativity, something you love to do for long stretches of time, it brings you joy, it's again, highest paid talents and so forth. When you're doing that, you're making more money and you're in a happy place because you're in that space and you're delegating the rest. It's literally a leverage strategy, right? So that's another system that helps you make more money, right? As you're then doing your weekly money day. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is something else that's changed the most for me, I think, is how I've been able to use. I have a virtual assistant who I work with, and the I've just been able to use her in such a different way. She's happier, I'm happier. We have a whole new way we communicate, and it's because I'm focused on what I'm able to do. And then I'm able to easily assign her things. And it turns out she likes doing those. And it just works out great for us both. But I've really, I had a VA and I wasn't even proactively using her, and this really truly
Remember that.
confirmed what I was doing.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
remember that when you asked, how can I better use my gal?
Hmm.
And from that point on, yeah, you ended up like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm doing my genius zone. She's doing hers. And here are things that, she's now
Yeah,
doing
her
more
output
of.
has been like it feels as if it's double, but I
Yeah.
think it's because I learned how to effectively communicate and delegate.
Fabulous. Yes.
Hmm.
That is, oh my gosh. And I'm so
Yeah.
proud of you for
Oh,
doing that.
thank you.
Yeah, no. It's literally one of the most challenging things. And even to this day, I can at times, not a lot, because it's very natural to me now, it's very much my normal, is to think of who else can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When something comes across your plate, right, across your desk, and you're like, oh, I can't do that. I don't have any, I don't have any time in my day to do that. Immediately go, who else can do this? And I have a saying, it's an acronym for ADD, and
Mm.
it's called what? Automate, delegate, or delete.
Ah.
All right. So you're either going to automate this thing, you're going to delegate it, or you're going to delete it right off your list and
Mm.
move on.
Love it. Love it.
Right. Yeah. So smart stuff on your end to what you did.
Yeah, this has all been so great. We're almost out of time, and I
Yeah.
appreciate all the tips and everything you've given us. But I'm going to try to ask for one more. Do you have a recommended affirmation, exercise, something tangible that our listeners, if they want to start really buying into this money mindset and this belief, what could they do right now or today?
Download, right? The 5 practical ways to your path to higher earning power. On that is my money breakthrough checklist, which is going to give you literally, these are questions for you to ask yourself about getting a reading on where you're at with your money relationship. Right. So that's one. Secondly, read that blog article on the 4
Mhm.
habits, the money habits that will literally daily habits that will change your finances forever. And I just posted that this week. And yeah, so those specifically. And then I also have, it's a new product, right? This is where you want to start investing and kind of taking a baby step. Is that I created a new product that's got, it's the money relationship workbook, video training. It's 1 hour video training. The 2 of those work together. And then if you choose, you can upgrade to also then a coaching session with it.
Fantastic.
I've got, I give you that link to also put in your, show notes.
Excellent. So, in addition to that, how else can our audience work with you or find you?
Sure. Of course, go to my website, marladiann.com, and I do have a link where you can schedule an intro call. Again, the link will be in the show notes. It's literally, you're going to fill out a small little form, and then we'll have just an intro call. I just want to get to know you. You get to know me and see how I can or not serve you, but let's at least get on a call that way. And of course, follow me on Instagram. That's my happy place. I'm there most of the time with you and all my clients and so forth. Yeah.
Great. Now let's end on a fun note. I like to do some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So the first thing I like to always ask is the best weddings have.
Oh, a great DJ who engages the crowd and plays awesome music, or a fantastic live band.
Gotta have the good music.
Oh yeah, music, huge. Yeah.
Cocktail hour or dessert bar?
Well, my first reaction is dessert bar because I'm not a big drinker. Although I do like a cocktail now and then. But my real answer is, why choose one or the other? Why not
Yeah,
both?
why not both? Always do both. When I'm in the zone, I am listening to.
A Gabby Bernstein guided meditation. She's my spiritual mentor. I love her stuff. Or piano music that's playing in the background.
Nice. And
Yeah.
then, as a nod to how we start our calls, I thought we'd end our call here with how we start our calls, which is gratitude. So, what are 3 things you are grateful for right now?
Oh yeah. Okay, well, 15 years of changing lives and being in that position, definitely. And moving that also into, which I haven't mentioned yet, is my podcast, Follow Your
Mhm.
Joy.
Yeah.
Follow Your Joy, where you can hear lots of amazing stories. And it's something I've been wanting to do for quite a long time, being a journalist. not only are there solo casts, that I do, but I'm interviewing creatives
Hmm?
and what they're doing through the lens of intuition and making decisions in business. So super grateful for that because it's getting some real positive, feedback. Also, I am grateful for my health, my creativity, and my optimistic, way that I look at life. My gosh, I was born with a happy chip in me.
Yeah, that's what I had to use you for before we started recording. It's like, Marla, save me.
Right?
Save
Just
me from
yeah,
myself. Give me your optimism.
I know. Like, give me some of that good
Yeah.
vibes. Yeah, for sure. Oh. And then, of course, my sweet dog Ruby. I love my puppy. She's a pure joy. And then, of course, my 32-year-old son.
Yes, and follow Marla on Instagram to get that Ruby content because that's where you're going to see the beautiful Ruby.
Yeah, she's my girl.
Marla, thank you so much for being here. And guys, take advantage of all the resources Marla is providing us. It's really going to be the first step to some huge, huge changes. How great was that, guys? Now, if you got anything from this episode, I'm going to ask you to screenshot it. I'm going to ask you to go on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, wherever you are, X, right? We have X now, guys. And I'm going to ask you to tag I Do Wedding Marketing. And on Instagram, it's Marla underscore Diann, Diann. And I'm going to ask you to tag us to let us know what you thought of the episode, and we will be sure to reshare that on our feed. In the show notes, I'm going to have all the free resources that Marla mentioned. I'm also going to link her current workbook and training that's going to transform your relationship with money. And I'm going to link Marla's podcast. Also, in the show notes, you will find the link to my latest course, ChatGPT for Wedding Marketing, as well as everywhere else you can find me on social media. Thank you for being here, guys, and I will see you next Wednesday on the I Do Wedding Marketing podcast.